In today's video, let's go over the 3 golden rules of pitching yourself in a job interview. If the question, "Tell us a bit about yourself," makes you feel stressed and uncomfortable and you want to learn to impress your interviewer within seconds, keep watching this video. I'll also be sharing an answer formula that'll make talking about yourself easier than ever, and I don't just mean in the context of a job interview. Hello everyone, it's Anna from CV Labs and we're back talking about how to make your job search easier and get you hired for that fantastic job you deserve. If you want to make the most out of your career, make sure to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to hit the bell to watch my new video every single week. I have so many great videos planned for you guys, trust me, you don't want to miss it. Tell me about yourself is often the very first question you'll be asked in any kind of interview, whether it's a preliminary phone screen, an interview with your prospective boss, or when you're sitting down with the CEO for a final round. The way you're able to summarize your story in those few first seconds of your conversation will pretty much determine how the rest of your interview goes. So if you're gonna mess this up, it will be very hard to recover from. Whenever I do mock interviews with my clients, I usually lead with that question as well. And time after time, it proves to stump the candidate regardless of how much experience they have or how far they've come in their career. Do you find it tricky to talk about yourself in a job interview? Do you think you would do a great job at talking about yourself if someone asked you this question right now? Let me know in the comments below. The problem is that the question, "Tell me about yourself," is open-ended. So you might be thinking, what exactly do they want to hear? How am I supposed to pick something out of my entire life story to share in this job interview? Should I stick to work or also include some personal aspects like my hobbies and interests? Whenever a recruiter or a prospective employer or anyone really who isn't your family member, a friend of a friend, or a date asks you to tell them about yourself, what they really mean is the following. You have 30 seconds to 1 minute to sell yourself to me. Tell me why I should be interested. And maybe they have their own reasons why they've invited you to have this conversation, but right now what they want is for you to tell them why you think they should be interested. So here's what they don't want to hear. Your autobiography, starting with your high school days, unless you're actually interviewing for your very first job after high school, in which case, way to go. Any irrelevant details that don't explain why you're the best candidate for this job, or a simple paraphrasing of your resume because, well, they can read. And now, time to go over the 3 golden rules of building a compelling answer. Rule number 1, tailor your response to the role and the company. Although technically the question is about yourself, what they're really asking is why you make a good candidate for this specific job at this organization. In order to do that, you'll want to spend some time analyzing the job description, researching the company, and thinking about how you can align your story and your background with what this company is expecting and looking for. Rule number 2. Focus on what makes you different. Whenever I work with my clients and we do mock interviews, the very first question I ask them is, imagine if there are 100 people competing for this job and all of them are equally qualified, meaning all of them have satisfied the minimum requirements from the job posting. Why should the employer pick you? What makes you different? And I know that this is an extremely challenging question for so many of you. So if you find it difficult to give an answer right away, don't worry, you aren't alone. And that's when it makes sense to book an interview coaching session and make sure to practice in advance. And this brings us to rule number 3. Keep your answer professional, but add some passion to it. Keeping your answer professional shouldn't stop you from shedding some light on why you're passionate about your work or about this company, even if it means going slightly more towards personal territory. Because truth is, people don't want to talk to robots, they want to talk to other humans. So don't be afraid to tie in some elements of your personal story when talking about yourself in front of a prospective employer. For example, I used to work with a client who was looking for a marketing role, and she always explained that her passion for marketing originated from her interest in psychology. She was reading a ton of books on psychology, and that knowledge that she has accumulated by herself just by learning and growing and reading literature and consuming all of that content online, That expertise helped her to understand and analyze consumer behavior better, and that is critical for someone who wants to be a great marketer. Another example is one client of mine who is looking for a director role in IT, but actually has background as a chef and used to open multiple restaurant locations. In his story, or the way he talks about himself in front of employers, he always mentions that background that on a first glance has nothing to do with him looking for business development positions in IT, actually helps him to carry that relentless focus on maximizing customer experience that not that many people in his current field have. So that he uses that as a differentiating factor. Here's an answer formula that I really like using with my clients when coaching them to answer, tell us about yourself. Number one, you need an opening statement that highlights your current position, your experience, and your key credentials. That way you start with a general overview of who you are. For example, you could say, I'm a sales executive working for over 10 years with global consumer brands within Fortune 500 companies. Or, I'm a merchandising director working for over 7 years in the retail industry, both offline and e-commerce, focusing mostly on women apparel. Now that you have a strong opener, it's time to mention your top 2 or 3 competitive advantages and right away mention how they add value. You can lead with, I'm most known for X or Y, or the 3 most important things to know about me are, and then you start listing. And finally, as step number 3, as a final thing in your tell me about yourself answer, you talk about why you're interested in this opportunity. So that way you kind of link your past experience, your background, your competitive advantages to that next step in your future. So these 3 key ingredients will help you to talk about yourself with confidence in any job interview. As I mentioned to you in the beginning of this video, the way you talk about yourself and the way you summarize your story at the very beginning of this conversation can pretty much determine the whole outcome of your job interview. So, if your next interview goes so well that you receive that long-awaited job offer, you need to know what to do before you take a new job. I'll link to another one of my videos in the description right under this video where I share everything you need to know before you take a new job. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope it was helpful. If you liked it, don't forget to hit thumbs up. If you loved it, subscribe to my channel and I'll see you again soon.